Michael Jordan, Cher, Mariah Carey, and Barry Bonds all have in common. Each of these stars have been clients of your next panelists. Here to tell you how to tap into sports stars and celebrities, please welcome Kofi Nardi with Compass, Nelson Gonzalez with EWM Realty International, Jenny Lenz with Dolly Lenz Real Estate, and Sue Firestone of SFA Designs.
Welcome. What a good-looking group this is. Jeez.
She had to say that. She made me.
Yeah. Love it, love it. So sports stars and celebrities are definitely the holy grail of all businesses, but especially of real estate. Because not only do you get that huge check if you sell them, but you also get notoriety, and hopefully it's all positive notoriety, right? So that really can take you to the next level. You get written about, that leads to another thing, which leads to another thing, which is why we all want celebrities, besides they're fun. Yeah. Right, Jenny? So Jenny, we'll start off with you. How do you distinguish between, let's say, the average ultra-high net worth rich person and the celebrity?
Well, we've heard a lot today about ultra-high net worth clients and how to get them, and I think celebrities are a little bit more difficult. First of all, there aren't that many of them. They're not walking around everywhere, even though I've seen many celebrities here in Beverly Hills. I think Shaquille O'Neal is in the house, not right in this room, but somewhere outside. And I think the main difference is that they have a lot of handlers. So people were talking about, you know, they have agents, business managers, they have lawyers they confide in, and it's really hard to get to them because, you know, you have to cater to all these other people. But I think the main piece of practical advice I can give is that, you know, networking is the most important possible thing you could do. We're all here, all of us here, all around the room are 1 degree, if not 2 degrees away from a celebrity themselves or one of their handlers. So we're constantly fishing everywhere we go, every charity event, every birthday, you know, for new clients. And I think that's really the way to ultimately get to them, or at least to have a chance.
And Sue, you have the most illustrious career in designing the most amazing homes and mansions and condos and everything else for superstars and celebrities, 2 of which I'll mention, hopefully I'm allowed, are Thomas Tull and Barry Bonds that come to mind. How are they different to work with for you than, again, the ultra-high net worth person?
Well, I think that, you know, in terms of high net worth, Thomas is definitely a celebrity in its own right. I mean, he became a billionaire in the last few years. And I think, like Barry, I mean, you're dealing with egos. So we always do our homework. And Google is a great tool. But to find out their passions and what they're all about, Barry, of course, wanted his own home office. A lot of sportsmen do. They like to have their own, not just a man cave, but a kind of a regal office. Same with Thomas, he wanted the same thing. Now he also is related to sports because he owns part of the Steelers, so we have a Steelers room, and plus he's a baseball nut, so we have a Cooperstown in his basement. So doing the due diligence and finding out what their passions are makes it easier to land these clients. And then how to land them is a little bit of sort of discreet stalking, finding out who their agents are, but particularly their business managers, going to their business managers' charity events and giving money and mingling and just asking for a chance to be introduced is how we've done business.
Oh, that's great, and you've obviously succeeded at it wildly. Nelson, you're the star in Miami. I mean, you're the real star versus the stars on TV. I know you've worked with Cher, you've sold her multiple homes, and many, many other movie stars and celebrities. What would you say is the secret sauce for you in working with them and in getting to them?
As far as them buying, probably trust and rapport. They have to be 1,000% convinced that you are the authority and you know exactly what you're doing. And just like everybody else, high net worth individuals, everybody wants a deal, so they want value for their money as well.
Will you cut your commission?
I do not cut the commission. But they want value for their money, so like anybody else, you have to educate them. And by the time I'm done with them, they are experts. So it's fairly easy to, if you show them something that has a lot of value, they move on it. The most recent one, we sold Phil Collins a house, and he was really just looking in between 12 and $15 million and didn't want to see anything above that. So there were 2 houses that he was looking at. mine was one of them, and there was another one, and I said, first of all, you do your homework in the background, you speak to the agent, you're a psychologist, so you try to get as much information, family, how many kids, that sort of thing, what they do, what they like, do they need a big yard, and he needed a big yard because he's got 2 little kids that play soccer. So and land is quite valuable. There's not much large acreage like you have here in Miami Beach waterfront. So I said, let me just show you one more property. And I showed him one that was double what he was looking for. And we sold him on the value of it. And after that, it was fairly easy.
And double the commission.
Double
Absolutely.
commission.
No, it works for me. I think that's great. And that's great because you have to always listen, as we've been saying, and introduce a little bit, something new, something a little further along. Just keep pushing, because you don't know. You might not have made the sale if you were only showing $15 million places, right? Because it might not have been anything suitable enough, right? So you had to think out of the box and do that, which I think is.
I mean, he loved the house as well, but,
Yeah.
but it was all about the land value, and I mean, it was
And proving to him that really this is
proving
worth
to
it.
him that
Your money's well invested.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
which is
the house
what
was
they want.
almost free.
Exactly. Almost, keyword. Thank you. Kofi, you recently made a move from the agency to Compass. Why did you make that move? I know you're going to say something positive. And
I thought this wasn't an election year for us.
and do you find that the promise is being fulfilled?
So first I want to thank Sue, because she did the design work on Derek Fisher's house that I'm selling right now, and I've been quoting you guys as I've been showing the house and hadn't met you. So there's a lot of overlap in what we do.
you.
That's why we come to Inman Connect.
It's
Yeah,
great. So now I
luxury
can tell
connect.
people I'll put them in touch with you if they want
Yeah.
to change something.
You see?
As I'm showing the house. Yeah, so I made the change. It was, for me, just an opportunity for growth. As we work in this niche, there's the need for national connections and the national network of agents that you work with, which I had, but they were all with different brokerages. People who work in sports and entertainment, we've all heard each other's names or have met each other or have spoken on the phone and referred each other business. But now it's nice to be able to do that with a national company.
Right.
We're not in every single market, but there are still those connections we have in the other markets. And we talk about how we get in front of these clients, and this is a big room, this is good. This is a lot of good energy in this room. But we talk about how we get in front of these clients, and one of the things that has worked well for me, I call these things Kofiisms, things that I've figured out along the way after I stumbled through a lot of things that I got wrong. But one of my Kofiisms is, you hear people say it's about who you know, but to me it's about 4 things, right? It's who you know, who also knows you, who knows what you do, and who likes you, right? So we talk about networking, we talk about running into somebody in the hallway, or if you go to a game, or if you meet one of the gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers are the way to go. Hear me say that again. It's not directly to the athletes. It's not directly to the entertainers. If you want to have a long haul in this game, it's the gatekeepers. It's the wealth managers, the business managers, the agents. In New York, it's the attorneys a lot of times, the CPAs and so forth. But it's not necessarily about just selling yourself. It's about getting to know people, letting them know that you bring value. And in value in this particular niche, it's something that they don't already have access to. Right? Whether it's market information, offline properties, the level of discretion that we can do a transaction under, controlling media spend, all of these things that bring value to this specific niche, right? It's very different from your traditional real estate transaction, and if you can't articulate why it's different, then you're not going to be able to capture the business. So that's one of the first things that I try to do when I engage with someone, is I tell them an anecdotal story about something that we've done in the past, or how we've saved a client a bunch of money, or how we kept them off of TMZ, and it demonstrates value.
They want to be off TMZ?
They do.
Usually.
I tell a funny story. I was showing a property to a celebrity client one time, and how the paparazzi and TMZ showed up was I went to pick them up. I do not know how they
You
got
mean that
there.
call you made before?
Right.
Yeah.
But I quickly pulled up my car to the restaurant where he was, and I shielded him. Got him into my car, but I kept my debonair face on so they could get my picture right.
Yeah. Win-win.
But I like to have fun with what I do,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is protecting our clients' privacy. But if you can lead with value, you're one step closer to getting the business.
Yeah, and it's a great point about the gatekeepers, because really just showing up at a celebrity's, booth or something in a restaurant, I mean, they're just going to hate you, basically. It's really not the way to go. The gatekeepers, research who the gatekeepers.
Believe it or not, even the housekeepers.
Oh, absolutely. I speak Spanish, so that's my main my main go. Yeah, it really works beautifully for me.
In New York City, the doormen, we have a great relationship with all the doormen in pretty much every building we show. If there's an apartment that comes on, we hear about it because, we're just nice people, and it works.
Yeah, we think we are.
Yeah.
I think Los Angeles is an interesting town because the celebrities are in awe of the athletes are in awe of the musicians, and the high net worth are in awe of all of the entertainers. So it's a really small world here. I think there's an advantage for Los Angeles, whatever consultancy you're in. Because I live in Santa Barbara, but it's a much smaller town in terms of nobody knows anybody. But LA has the advantage, so build your reputation, keep your reputation stellar, and word gets around fast in this town.
Right, and that's how. Sorry,
go ahead.
And that's how you can leverage one celebrity client into another, right? It goes without saying you have to know your stuff, do a great job for them, but then it does translate into future business.
Yeah, and to Kofi's point, it really is not only you know them, they know you. What are they saying about you to all of their friends, right? And to the gentleman who spoke earlier, have them be your evangelists, if it's at all possible. What could be better than either a celebrity CPA's, word that you are God's gift to the universe? I mean, what could be better than that? I mean, I know you do all of your business on referral, Nelson, so all of your business comes from other people who you've satisfied and made happy, right? So.
Right. And I market myself to all the other agents in Miami and everywhere, actually, because I know that they're the ones that are working with the buyers, and if they're celebrities, great. If they're not, great as well. But
right.
But I market to them, and like Sue said, a stellar reputation is key, and so they know that you're honest, trustworthy, and
Exactly,
and
and
do
you'll
the
take
right
care
thing.
of them. And Kofi, if you could give a brand new person going from what they're doing today to wanting to be on a celebrity track, what would be the couple of pieces of advice you might give them for a start? Because it's hard to start.
It is hard to start, but I think it goes back to what we've been hearing on a lot of the panels is about having a niche or having a niche for our French-speaking people.
Yes.
It truly is. And if you're going to have a niche, whether it's a demographic or a geographic niche, you have to have expertise in it, right? I liken it to, if they're going to work with you, why should they work with you? If you want to focus on sports and entertainment, why do you want to focus on sports and entertainment? And what makes you better than the agent sitting to your right or to your left, or better than us in servicing the client's needs? And if you can't identify the differences in the transaction, the differences in the needs of the client, how the gatekeepers like to interact with you, then you're going to be facing an uphill battle. So the first thing is just educate yourself. Whether it's partnering with an agent here, an agent on stage, reach out to one of us, or if we're in your market, say, hey, I've got this opportunity, I'd love to help work with you on it. And you're going to learn a lot about the process doing it that way, right? That's part of the reason I'm writing a book. People stop me in the hall all the time, like, how do I break in? Well, I was like, I got asked that question so many times. It's taken me years, but it'll be out first quarter of next year, writing a book on,
that'd be great.
on breaking into and working with celebrity clientele. But the first thing is getting yourself ready, right? The second thing is where you're going to find the business, and you're going to lead with value. We talked about the gatekeepers, making sure that you're leading with value. You're putting something in front of them that they don't already have access to. The third thing is, how are you going to service them once you have them as clients? And that's where there's a lot of overlap in the business you're already doing now and how you're going to service this business, because it's a white glove level of service. We describe it in my office. I have a hand-picked team of agents around the country now, so I'm able to kind of garnish best practices from every marketplace, and it's really great. But we call it the chauffeur-driven life, right? What's the chauffeur-driven life for a real estate transaction for somebody in sports and entertainment? How do we anticipate their needs? They can drive a car, but they get in the chauffeur-driven car because they have better things to do with their time, or they're used to a certain level of service. So how can we bring that level of service, anticipation, and expertise to the transaction that we're engaging them on? So figure out how to do those things, getting yourself ready, figuring out where you're going to find the business, leading with value, not with salesy commission breath, but leading with value, being those four things that I talked about. Them knowing you, you knowing them knowing what you do, and being likable, right? And then once you get the business, doing an amazing job of servicing it, and that's how you get the raving fans that one of the previous speakers spoke about.
Yeah, and what Sue said earlier, Google. Google is amazing. You'd be
Due
shocked.
diligence.
Yeah, you'd be shocked how much information is out there about every one of us and every one of our clients. Maybe your kids went to the same school. Maybe they're soccer fans, you're a soccer fan. Find that connection that gets you one step closer to them, and that you have something in common. It becomes natural. You're both dog lovers. You both like to rescue cats. I mean, there's so many different platforms on which you can have something in common, and you just have to go over little things like that, know them cold, and I have to tell you, it makes all the difference.
I think also just one of the things I would say to this audience is that you have to realize you're dealing with people who are, you know, very high end and very good in their field, but all of you have put in the 10,000 hours also, plus. So I think being confident without being overbearing is really critical, coming across as knowing your trade and what you do, and just be confident. It really helps. It speaks volumes.
I think that's a key point and that's what I said, getting ready and really knowing what you're going to do. Being confident in this industry, which we should all be confident. I'm sure there's some newcomers to the business, but a lot of you have a lot of experience because I know a lot of you in here. And being able to speak with confidence, to align yourself with the goals and ambitions and sort of driving forces behind those gatekeepers is really going to set you apart. And remember, I keep saying gatekeepers, right? So you go up against, how many people have dealt with an attorney during a real estate transaction? It's a lot of fun, right? But instead of going like this, right, lock arms with the attorney. Lock arms with the attorney. Lock arms in the mentality of the attorney. His goal is to protect the client. So everything you're saying should be in the lines of protecting the client. When you
Or
make
billing
that phone
hours,
call,
or billing hours, I'm not sure.
yeah. Try to do it offline over coffee so it's not billing your client. But you know, that said, you know, I try to use that kind of language when I'm dealing with people who are there to really kill the deal. Most of the attorneys would rather say no than face any liability. That's just the bottom line, right? So if you can align yourself with their thinking and tell them that your goal is to protect the interests of the client, protect the interests of, you know, the attorney, make the attorney look good. How do we do that? Well, we do that with these addendums to the contract, these provisions to the contract. We know that the playoffs are coming. We're going to extend the contingency period. We do all these little nuanced differences, and then the attorney gets to look like a hero, right? And I'm all for giving credit and sharing the credit. I'll tell my client, we had a great conversation with the attorney. We came up with an amazing game plan. We'll CC the attorney on the emails, and the attorney feels warm and fuzzy. Now you're not doing this. You're locked arms together, and you're moving forward towards a closed escrow, which is what we want, right?
I love the win-win theory, right? It's win-win, right?
And then hopefully, you know, that attorney will give you more business. They like working with you. They're comfortable with you. So it's just a big circle all around.
And how do you get confident? You do your homework, you study the situation, you talk to the other agents if there's another agent involved, and the more you know, because we're basically middlemen all the time, or women, we need to have, so we can just sell information. So the more information we have, the more confident you get, and the better you can speak about the property or whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah, confidence definitely wins the day.
And I think one thing about all of these clients that we have, schedule is as important as money. Thomas, for example, wanted us to do a 3-story penthouse overlooking the Steelers stadium, and it had to be done in time for sports camp. I'm like, really? Yeah. So I had to actually be honest with him and say, we're going to have to actually value engineer, do some things later. And so being upfront, again, being confident in what you know, and being honest and straightforward with your clients, I think is critical. Again, you put in the time, you know what you're doing. Stick to that knowledge.
And also be the authentic you, right? Because I think we all have to morph a little bit to match up with our clients, but the authentic you, if that comes true, that's going to be the best link you have to a client. Then you really bond, right? Then you're really a good relationship, which will lead to other relationships. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you, everybody.